Hello and welcome to the Hold All Tickets World Pool preview for a massive weekend of racing. We start off at Flemington, head to Randwick, then to Dubai and end up in Hong Kong on Sunday afternoon. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly, with a lot of racing. Group 1 racing across 4 tracks in 3 countries this weekend. Of course, we are brought to you by the World Pool. Bet with the World and the World Pool this weekend. As said, it is a massive weekend of racing. We have some emerging stars coming through in Australia, and then we end up with the superstar, the global superstar, Romantic Warrior in the Hong Kong Gold Cup. So we do have Australian Guineas Day, Chipping Norton Stakes Day, which is now known as the Very Elegant, Super Saturday in Dubai in the lead up to the World Cup next month, and the Hong Kong Gold Cup is the only race on Sunday afternoon. So we're going to go through the races in Australia. We'll skip over Dubai and Super Saturday. No Australian horses over there as of yet. We'll have a look at the Hong Kong Gold Cup because, well, there's an Australian connection, Romantic Warrior and J-Mac, and of course we do have our Australian trainers and Australian jockeys involved in the race as well. But this weekend, we will start off over at Flemington because this weekend, the races at Flemington, it is a part meeting for all of these cards. So at Flemington, it is races 5, 6, 7, and 8. At Randwick, it is races 7, 8, 9, 10. For Super Saturday at Meydan in Dubai, it is races 4, 5, 6, and 7. And just the one race in Hong Kong this weekend, race number 7, which is the Hong Kong Gold Cup, a small but select field there. So let's get into it. Race number 5 is the first event of the day at Flemington, and it is the Vobis Gold Comet over 1,000 meters here. So they're going to go like the absolute clappers. This is a bunch of older horses racing for a sales bonus amount of money here. Look, Midwest is usually the one that you sort of want to end up with here. He's really good down the straight, but last preparation, he actually showed that he was getting over a little bit further in his runs. First up, I thought he was okay behind Weight of the Stars, and Weight of the Stars a little bit disappointing last week in the Oakley Plate. So maybe have a little bit of a look around him because you think having a look at this speed map, it looks like he and McGaw go forward, and then Salui and Bridal Waltz in behind them. My Zephyr and Egerton back, Jenny and Dots and Salsa Fellow sort of bring up the rear. It's a tricky race to start off the day here, but you really think that the punters may hone in on a couple of horses here. I'm actually happy enough to leave this race sort of alone here. Maybe Bridal Waltz, but she has drawn barrier 1, which is a little bit sticky. I hate horses drawing towards the inside down the straight just because I do think horses towards the outside do have that advantage, but sometimes they do tend to come down the middle. McGaw last preparation was quite good, but just not too sure about him over 1,000. He did beat My Gladiola and Tentyrus last preparation over this trip. So I'll just take him on a little bit here over 1,000 meters. I think he'd be much more suited to the 1,100 meters. So we'll leave that race alone to kick off the day. Race number 6 is the next event, of course. So races 5, 6, 7, and 8 at Flemington. And race number 6 is the Hong Kong World Pool Trophy here. Really good race this. Educated is 2 for 2. Winsbury was quite good at last start. The horse I've landed on here, it's one of my better bets across the card in Australia this weekend. It is Belle Mercy for Ethan Brown and Kieran Ma. Thought was quite good first up, getting well back behind Alpha Sophie. We'll touch on Alpha Sophie later. Hitting the line really well. Now, not a lot went right for this horse after winning on debut as a 2-year-old. Finished behind Baywalked and Tempted at the next 2 starts when leading up to the Golden Slipper, but not a lot went right there, as said. First up for Kieran Ma, I thought she was quite good there. She had nearly a year off there. It was 336 days between runs. Second up into this, Barrier 8 and Ethan Brown. I think she can sit behind the speed there, pull towards the outside fence at Flemington, storm right over the top of them. I think she's come back in terrific order. I'm really happy to back her, but this is a really nice race here. I think her currently right now seems decent odds. I think the World Pool punters may plough into her just because Educated is 2 from 2. The wins have been at Cranbourne and Tature as well, but looks a very speedy horse, but I like Belle Mercy there. Race number 7 is the Blamey Stakes over 1,600 metres. It is the second last of our events at Flemington on a Saturday afternoon. A little bit of a lesser grade Blamey than we've seen in recent years. None of the winners here will probably go to the heights of some of the horses we have seen in the past. For your speed map here, Air Assault looks your likely leader. Birdman probably sits midfield off the fence. Mark Twain, who's been trialling well, is in there as well. He's massive odds. Apulia, fresh off a Perth Cup victory, is there. Plymouth gets a good map as well. Probably sits outside the leader here. And Exudo, well, it depends where they want to go. They can go forward or they can go back. Having a look at this race, not one I'm too keen to play into just because there's so many question marks. This is a very even field. Air Assault, if he does get away with it and horses on speed are having a good day at Flemington, he's the one that probably looks at from a map perspective. I think he can roll forward and keep on rolling here just because, as I said, there isn't any speed in the race. And Apulia, who's currently your favourite, probably will start favourite on the day. He's going to get well back in the run. He's going to be buried on the fence. Even though he was a winner a couple of starts back at Flemington over 1,600 metres, he's one I'm willing to risk. And Birdman, Phenomenal first up. Thought he was brilliant, but it was the same last preparation. He was brilliant first up over 1400 before being not too good second up and then exploding third and fourth up. So maybe fourth up into Australian Cup for him. I'm just going to risk him here second up because I think he's just a little bit trappy second up. We've seen some of these horses of Waller's that have boomed fresh and then second up have been a little bit soft. Let's get to the main race of the day at Flemington. It is the final race that we're going to talk about here. It is race number 8. It is the Australian Guineas. Speed map up on your screen now. West of Swindon probably goes forward. He should be able to improve second up. Observer, though, the map looks absolutely perfect for him. He can either lead or sit outside West of Swindon, similar to what he did first up. Victoria's Spirit has been well talked up by Peter Moody early on in the week. He should roll forward. Romantic Encounter's got a little bit of speed as well. Now, 60s is the tricky one, drawn widest of all in barrier 10. Does he go forward or does he go back? His best win was last preparation, the Ming Dynasty, where he went forward and smashed Autumn Boy rolling forward and keeping on kicking. But I just think knowing Chris Waller, they're going to go back from that gate, as is Planet Red, who looks to have last shot at them. I'm not too sure much of the others have much of a chance. Couple of replays to look at. Here is Observer in this race. He's outside the leader in the Godolphin Blue, sitting outside the speed, kicking away and winning well. The horse down the outside in the white blaze is Planet Red. There in the check cap in behind them is Honor Vuitton, who I think can run a cheeky race at odds. He's just drawn a really sticky gate here, but as you see, Observer, absolutely too strong for them. Has won the race in the early part of the race, whereas Planet Red, you can see the flashing light there. But the work that 60s did early on in the piece was really fast sectionally early. So I'm really happy to back Observer here. Sorry, Observer looks like you're likely one to beat. But we're going to have a look as well at 60s, who this was second up. First up, he led and smashed them. And here Damian Lane just kept him out of trouble and said, I'm on the best horse. I'm just going to go and win this race. And that's what he did. Just have a look here. He does take a little bit of time to wind into his work, but may have been a little bit of a flat run second up after such a booming finish there. You can see Romantic Encounter there is there as well, as is West of Swindon, who's going to improve in this race, finishing down the outside in the Qatar Red. And then there's Officiate in the Yulong colours with the blinkers. He was okay late as well. But out of this race, you probably just want to be with 60s as well. But I just think the map sets up way too perfectly in this event for Observer. He's the lean. I think the World Pool punters really step into him. They did last preparation in the Amy Vars. He was absolutely smashed there and then he was absolutely spanked in the Victoria Derby, which he won and won easily. So I think the punters are going to know what they're going to do. The World Pool punters have had some good success with Observer in the past. I think they step into him once again, and he is absolutely one of the better bets of the day. I think anything better than even money is a really good bet at Flemington. Let's go to Randwick here, where we do have a couple of races to look into. Races 7, 8, 9, and 10, the first of which being the Surround Stakes. 1400 metre Group 1 for the fillies. Speed map up on your screen now. Savvy Halley looks your likely leader. She was brilliant when leading first up in the light fingers. Apocalyptic can roll forward as well. Tempted gets a good map there from barrier 2. She can probably sit outside the leader. I think Apocalyptic will want to sit on her back and track her everywhere, because last preparation when we saw Apocalyptic in the 1,000 guineas on speed, she was worried out of it late. Ole Dancer, they may try with her this start after going back to last and giving them no hope. She should settle a little bit closer. She was the 1,000 guineas winner last preparation, and Panova from the outside gate interests me. I thought she was fantastic winning the Carbine Club. But let's take a look at some of the replays here. We're going to look at two, first of which being the light fingers. Savvy Halley in front, got an absolute picnic. She kicks away here. She wins it quite well. Tommy Berry, who's on the inside in the My Racehorse colours on Apocalyptic set at the 600 metres, I knew I was in trouble. As you can see here, the race is pretty much done. Savvy Halley keeps on kicking away. She was a winner first up last preparation over 1,200 metres as well. 1,400 is a new world. Apocalyptic now. Last preparation, I thought races were really run to suit her. And when the one time she got in a race with an above average pace, she was worried out of it by Ole Dancer. Yes, it could have been the end of the preparation, but I think she's going to be under the odds on Saturday. Now let's take a look at Tempted, who was dominant, winning the Eskimo Prince Stakes. There's Napoleonic there just in front of her in the Jonathan Munns colours. And at this point, Chad Schofield says, Tatiana, we're going to go and win this race and win it quite well. This is absolutely easy work. This is a paid track gallop, which they picked up a couple $100,000. Now, the nicest way of saying it, no fillies in this field are good enough to run second to Car Ying Rising, the Everest, yet this filly was. 1,400, a whole new world. There is a bit of rain around at Randwick this weekend as well, but she's by Street Boss out of an Exceed and Excel mare, which should be no problem whatsoever. Provided it's not a heavy 10, I think she'll be able to handle it, and she'll handle it and should be able to win this race. I think the main danger in the race is number 3, Ole Dancer. She'll be the strongest horse late in this event. Maybe Panova. If you want to have a trifecta in this race, I'm thinking horses 1, 3, throwing Karinska number 6 and number 7, Panova. Happy to take on Apocalyptic in this event. The next race we'll look at, no replays here, is the Very Elegant Stakes. It is a Group 1 over 1,600 metres. Your favourite's Autumn Glow. She's going to start deep odds on. She'll probably start closer to $1.10 in this event. Lindemann looks your likely leader. Autumn Glow sits outside the leader, probably proves too strong. So Delius resumes after missing out on the Cox Plate and Melbourne Cup last preparation. An interesting one is Trinity College, who's first up after winning in the UK last season. Won the Hampton Court, was good in the Prix du Jockey Club where he was just behind the placings there, and then Team Yulong bought him for a bunch of money. And of course, you got Chow Wolf and Aliana there on the inside. But look, Autumn Glow's going to win this race. She's more than likely going to win it and win it well. A wet track's no issue because last preparation she resumed first up on a heavy track in just a fillies race and absolutely spanked them, running really fast time even on the wet track. She ran really good time that was standardized to benchmarks as well. So wet track's going to be no issue. She's by the Autumn Sun out of a South African mare. She started shorter than odds on in all of her most recent starts. We got even money about 18 months ago. How good of a bet was that against Snow in May? But look, even luck, she'll be winning this race. If you're looking for an exacta, I'd say Chow Wolf, because in apocalyptic conditions that we saw last preparation when he won the Champion Mile, he was strong late there. Wet track's no issue. 4 starts on heavy for 2 wins and a placing. Soft track, he's had a win on it as well. Blew out the cobwebs first up. Yes, he had a bit of an issue with the tooth pulled out, but the fact that he's continuing to press on in the preparation shows that he's going quite well. He's Australia's champion miler at this stage, technically, given he did win the King Charles last prep before winning the Champions Mile, and he's won the King Charles twice. So at the moment, champion miler, at the end of the preparation, it's going to be Autumn Glow. Race 9 is the Hong Kong Jockey Club World Pool Liverpool City Cup over 1,300 metres. Some of these horses will be on a Doncaster handicap path. Really interesting and intriguing race here. You've got a couple of horses resuming like Militarize and Co. And then a few horses who have been up and going throughout the summer months, like the instructor who's got the race fitness on his side. Having a look through this as well, Axis is probably the one to beat, but not too sure about him on a super heavy track. I know he's got a win on heavy track in the past. That was in August, so it was a winter heavy track rather than a rain condensed heavy track where he's going to get up on the speed and keep on rolling. Cool Jakey's the mudlark in the race. He absolutely loves it when it rains. So if we get a wet track, he's had, I think it's 4 wins from 8 on heavy tracks with a couple of other runs on soft going, whereas I think he's a 1 win and 3 or 4 placings on wet going. So he's probably one, if it gets really wet, that you want to look at. Even Militarize as well throughout his careers. I think he's only missed a place once on wet going. I thought Militarize has trialled up well enough coming into this. I want to go with him first up. He gets a soft run behind the speed from barrier 1, provided he's fit enough, which he should be. He's a gelding now. He can definitely be in the finish of this race. I think he'll be half decent odds as well. I'm not too sure what the punters are going to do with this race because it is a wide open race. It's probably going to be $4 or $5 the field, you would think, but Militarize each way is probably the way I would be looking at it at this stage. Final event at Randwick. It is race number 10. It is a 1,200 metre benchmark 88. Mal Cope is probably going to be your favourite here for J-Mac and Stephen O'Halloran. Has to win over the 1,200 metres, has been winning over 1,000 and 1,100 in lower levels in midways and at the provincials. Now needs to bring that to 1,200 metres, but does get to keep McDonald. He hasn't missed a place on soft going. Has had 6 starts on soft or heavy going for 4 wins and 2 placings. Being by extravagant, that should make sense as well. Bev's 9 was scratched at the barriers last week and, of course, had to come back to the races as well here. Unbeaten, 4 from 4, this son of Shalard. Did it well on a heavy track in the middle of January as well. So look, the way he's going at the moment is quite good. Gatsby's was good too back. He's got good wet track form as well. And Rosalind Star might be getting long in the tooth for some of the punters, but he's been going quite well. And he was second to 60s last start. 60s has since won and has got good form on wet tracks. I'm leaning towards Rosalind Star with the 3 kilo claim for Sienna Grummer, getting down to 55.5 kilos. I think the right run on the map here, with the straight run from the 1,200 metres to the turn, it looks to be the right setup here. I'm happy to go each way. And even Cloudland first up. He's got really good wet track form. He'll be 20 to 1 on the day, I think, for the punters. Good first up record. 8 starts, 4 wins, and a couple of placings. Was last seen in the Greys race at Flemington behind Get a Fix, where he was quite good there and really well backed late. But his wet track form is phenomenal. 15 starts for 6 wins. Have something on him each way as you saver late in the day, punters, because Chris Lees knows how to place his horses, that's for sure. Now, of course, on Saturday night, we do have Super Saturday in Dubai, but we're going to skip over that and take a look at the Group 1 Hong Kong Gold Cup on Saturday afternoon. It is race number 7 on the day. A small but select field for us to get our teeth into here. We're going to have a look at a replay because there was a recent trial with a couple of horses in this field, namely Romantic Warrior, who's going to start your short price favourite in this race. But we'll take a look at this barrier trial from the home turn, which does have, as said, Romantic Warrior in it. My Wish is in this trial as well, as is Voyage Bubble. There you see Voyage Bubble up on speed. Romantic Warrior up on his hindquarters there. And then My Wish is second last in this barrier trial as well, just in behind them with Huey Bowman having a spin around as well. Romantic Warrior just does his thing, just cruises past Voyage Bubble here, and then Winning Wing's out the back as well, and Winning Wing is in this race as well, as is Ensued. You've just got to be with the champ, don't you? Look at how well he's going here. He's had Voyage Bubble covered every time they've met. But I like the work of My Wish through the line with Huey Bowman there. Huey has drawn to absolutely stalk My Wish in this race because just with the 6 horses in the field, you think Voyage Bubble will probably try and roll across and lead. J-Mac from barrier 4 kicks up to make Zach do that little bit of extra work to get across and lead. And then at that point, J-Mac will jump off the fence and sit outside of him, sort of what they did in the Jockey Club Cup over the 2,000 metres back in early December. And then My Wish probably has that stalking role just perfectly poised in behind Romantic Warrior. He's not good enough to beat Romantic Warrior, all things being equal, let's be honest, but he can definitely run a placing here. And then you've probably got Beauty Joy sits fourth, and then Ensued will be second last, and Winning Wing will be off the bit at the 800 metres, desperately trying to pick up the bit and chase on as he always has done. But he's been in good form so far this season. Look, Romantic Warrior wins this race, all things being equal. But I want to have something on My Wish as the exacta horse. So an exacta in this race of Romantic Warrior and My Wish, just because My Wish's best run of his career was arguably in the Hong Kong Derby last year, where he drew 14 of 14, had to go back to last, and was absolutely supersonic there over the last 600 metres. He was the clear fastest last 600 metres of the meeting, running 11.1 lengths faster than standard. He hasn't gone any faster for a last 600 metre in his career, so he can sprint over 2,000 metres. It probably was his best run. He should have won that Derby. He was good enough to start favourite in the Hong Kong Mile last month as well. And Voyage Bubble did win that race, but I thought last start over the 1,600 metres, My Wish arguably should have beaten him with a better ride there. This is why Bowman's on board for Bedell. Voyage Bubble going well. He's absolutely going to run second or third. He's an absolute superstar, but you can see he's getting a little bit longer in the tooth, and I thought he was just that little bit weak late last start over the 1,600 metres. I know Zach had to do a bit of work to get into the race there, but I'm happy to risk him at that exacta play. So I think Romantic Warrior, we're going to celebrate the champ. He's going to do his thing once again. He's the king of the 2,000 metres at Hong Kong. He will get the job done and win it once again. It'll be his 13th win over 2,000 metres. What an absolute freak he is. Of course, a win being over 2040, so it doesn't technically count as 2,000 metres. Now, that is the World Pool preview done and dusted for this weekend. Of course, make sure you do bet with the World and the World Pool this weekend. And make sure you do head to punters.com.au for all the write-ups that we will have across all these meetings in Sydney, Melbourne, and Hong Kong over the weekend. Now, don't forget the Classic Cup is this weekend in Hong Kong as well for the 4-year-olds. The 4-year-old series heating up. It is the second of the 3 legs there. But some great racing across the weekend with the World Pool. And in a couple of weeks' time, we do have more racing coming your way. Of course, next weekend, we've got the New Zealand Derby, Newmarket Handicap, and the Canterbury Stakes. And in a couple of weeks' time, it is the big weekend of racing because in Australia, we have the Golden Slipper, followed by the following week where it's Australian Cup Day at Flemington. It is Tancred Stakes Day at Rose Hill and is Dubai World Cup weekend in Meydan. So March is a massive month for the World Pool. Then, of course, we'll be into Randwick and the Championships. We're not too far away from Champions Week over in Hong Kong as well. So a lot of racing coming your way over the coming weeks and months with the World Pool. Of course, thank you to our friends at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Make sure you bet with the World this weekend in the World Pool. Good luck if you're having a bet this weekend. We'll catch you next time on the World Pool Preview.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.